Support for today's episode comes from Rio Washing. Rio Washing is a local window cleaning company here in southern Utah. They are family-owned and operated, providing high-quality, customizable service including your windows, inside and out, sills, frames, tracks, and screens. They also provide garage door and front door cleaning. They take pride in personal customer service and have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. They can accommodate any request and make your service fully unique to your residence or business. And with the unpredictable weather here in southern Utah, have full weather protection for up to 2 weeks after your service. Visit riowashing.com to schedule your free quote and make your windows look new again. You remember, in school when you'd show up and the teacher would walk in and you're like, wait a minute, that's not our teacher. That's a substitute. Because the teacher was sick or doing something and didn't want to deal with you guys anymore. So they got a substitute teacher. Well, that's pretty much what today's episode is, because this is the first day in 5 days that I've had a voice strong enough to speak, but not strong enough to speak for more than 5 minutes without losing it, or 45 seconds without coughing. So I gave you the piano music to, make you feel like home back here on Finding Faith and Funny. But today, you've got a substitute teacher, someone who has faith and funny. He was actually the first guest on this podcast, and I called upon him to deliver a message for this week's episode, and he delivered. So without further ado, here's the episode of Finding Faith and Funny, hosted by the great Dustin Anderson. He is full of humor, full of faith. Most of what he says on this episode is true. Some of it is not. I'll let you decide what's true and what's not. Anyways, enjoy.
Welcome back to Finding Faith and Funny. My name is Chase McPhee, and I'm happy to have you here. This is my podcast about faith and also funny. And I'm a little under the weather. People have been telling me I'm not really myself this week. My lovely, beautiful wife, Kristen, told me the other day. She's like, "You don't seem like you. You don't look like you. You don't sound like you for sure." She used the word upgrade several times. But if you're listening to this and I sound like I'm not me, I am. Something's going on. But we're going to talk about faith and funny anyway. I don't have a guest this week. I just have a lot of stuff to say. And so let's get right into it. Before we do, though, this episode is brought to you by and sponsored by, and we got money from the Bible. The Bible. Are you looking for something? Are you looking for a good book? How about the good book? How about a book that has stories that will teach you and your family good, solid moral lessons? Things like Daniel and the Lion's Den. Do you want to teach your kids to never abandon their values even when things are hard or scary? Daniel and the Lion's Den. Or the Sermon on the Mount. How about the Sermon on the Mount? Love your enemies. Give grace to those who don't deserve it. But also, lest you think the good book is boring, we got dragons and mermaids and monsters and giants. And there's a thing with 38 eyes that crawls out of the ocean to usher in the end of days. It's all in there. The Bible, everybody. Go on down and pick up a copy of the Bible. They're free in a hotel. If you got to pay to get into the hotel, but then they just have them in the drawers there. You take as many as you want. So thank you to the Bible for sponsoring us. And what we're going to talk about today is Jonah and the whale and the fish. Jonah is not a whale, but Jonah has a whale fish. And in some places in the scriptures it says whale, and in some places it says fish. What was it? Guess what? Spoiler alert, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The story is the same. The story is about Jonah. Our hero Jonah starts in Jerusalem or Athens or Milan. I don't know exactly. He could have been in Cleveland. It doesn't matter. The story is the same. And he gets told by the Lord to go to Nineveh. You're supposed to go to Nineveh, and you're supposed to teach all those people over there so that they can be better. Otherwise, I'm going to wipe them out. And Jonah, here's the thing about Jonah. He doesn't like that because a lot of people misunderstand Jonah. They think he doesn't want to go over there because he's afraid. And Jonah is not afraid. It's not, and I'm defensive now on behalf of Jonah. He's not afraid. He just he doesn't want to go to Nineveh because that's where the Assyrians are, and the Assyrians have been killing Jonah's people for a very long time. And what he wants is for the Lord to punish them. He's upset that he would even. He's like, you're gonna forgive those people? So he decides to run away. And by the way, knows he's gonna die. He decides to give his life to just really stick it to the Ninevites, and the Assyrians at Nineveh. And he gets on a boat for Tarshish. Hang on, let's look it up. I think it's Tarshish. Or it might be Tarsus, or it might be Tarsal. I just bumped the microphone. Sorry for that. Tarshish is a Mediterranean restaurant in London, UK, is what it says on Google. So he gets on a boat headed for Tarshish. And this is important because Tarshish is the farthest west that you could get by boat from where he was. I know this because I heard it on a podcast 2 years ago, actually. By the way, my name is Chase McPhee. He was going west as far as he could. He's basically going to the end of the world. He's running as far from God as he can possibly get. Nineveh is to the east. If he was a good little boy, he would just march his cute little behind over to Nineveh. But he doesn't do that. So he's on his way to Tarshish, and that's when the waves kick up. And the people there are like, uh-oh, we're probably going to die. And Jonah immediately is like, I know why. It's my fault. It's because God is mad at me. So, and this is where Jonah becomes a complicated hero, because he's like, you guys got to throw me over so that God won't kill all of us. I'll sacrifice myself. Number one, Jonah, how about throw yourself over? Don't tell them to. And number two, that's a really nice thing that you're doing. He has all the faith, he has all the belief in the world. He just doesn't want to do it. If you can't relate to this, turn this podcast off right now, meditate for 6 minutes, and then come back, and you'll realize you do relate to this. This is, you believe something, but you're not willing to do it. That's my entire diet right there. I'm Chase McPhee. Thanks for listening. So they throw him overboard, and mercifully, a fish. In the original story, it says fish. A fish bites him, and doesn't just bite him, like bites all of, like swallows him up, and he's living in the fish. And he's got some questions because that probably happens really fast. And the ocean's dark, and there was a storm, so he probably didn't even see it. Probably just all of a sudden he's like, "Wait a minute, am I in a fish right now?" And for 3 days he's in there, and then the fish yaks him up on the land. And so, and people are going to have a lot of questions about this. First of all, it makes more sense with a whale because whales have air in them. I don't know if you know this. Whales are mammals. And mammal comes from the Greek mammalia, which means to have air inside of one's soul. And so that's why people are like, he probably was in a whale. People will argue about whether he was in a whale or a fish or whether the whole thing was even real. And guess what? It doesn't matter. What matters is the story. You're supposed to learn from the story. So Jonah now gets the message. He's like, okay, you give me a second chance, I'm going to go do what you asked. And he goes to Nineveh, and he teaches the people, and they repent, and they get better, and they don't get wiped out. And so God did exactly what he said he was going to do. And Jonah is furious because he's like, I knew this was going to happen. He goes up and he sits under a tree up above Nineveh, and he's looking down, and he's like, these people don't deserve forgiveness. And here's where the hypocrisy is. This is why Jonah is a complicated hero, but a hero none the same. And again, if you don't relate to this, spend a little time thinking about it, and you do. He wants to be forgiven himself for things up to and including running away from God to Tarshish, a London Ukrainian restaurant. Mediterranean. I don't know where the Ukraine is. This is not a political podcast. My name is Chase McPhee. He's looking down at Nineveh, and God comes to him and he's like, hey, Jonah, what's the matter? And he was like, what do you mean, what's the matter? This is exactly what I was afraid of. You're forgiving my enemies. Look at all the stuff they have done to my people. And now you're going to just act like it never happened. And that's kind of where the story ends. This one doesn't have a happy ending, or at least not one that's written. We don't know what Jonah did after this. We don't know if there was, maybe he had to learn the lesson again. Maybe he got eaten by one of the monsters. Maybe when that thing comes crawling out of the ocean with 38 eyes, maybe Jonah will be riding on its back or living in its belly. We don't get to know that. What we do get to know is how you're going to apply this to your life. And it's going to be different for you than it is for me. But for me, Chase McPhee, the way I'm going to apply this is when I believe that God has asked me to do something, I'm going to try to move towards it, not run towards the end of the earth. And if I do run towards the end of the earth, and I mercifully get a second chance through a whale or a fish or a dragon or a giant, I'm going to take the second chance and hopefully end up in a better place than Jonah. Because he eventually did the thing he was supposed to do, but it didn't make him feel like he was supposed to feel. So, and I know this is finding faith in funny, and we're just talking about faith right now. There's nothing in this is funny. But let me think. I'm going to pause this for a second and see if I can think of a good joke, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to try that part. And we're back with a place where I found where somebody said, what is your favorite Bible joke? And then people answered. I haven't read these. I hope they're good. If not, I'm going to if they're inappropriate, I'll cut them out. But that's because I'm a good guy. My name's Chase McPhee. Why couldn't Cain make a sacrifice that pleased the Lord? You give up? Say it. Answer it. If you're in your car, say it out loud to your steering wheel. Wrong. The answer is because he wasn't able. All right. Who is the smartest guy in all of the Bible? Abraham. He knew a lot. Now, if you haven't read a lot of the Bible, you don't understand that, but Lot was Abraham's nephew or his cousin's brother or something, like his cousin's. He was related to his cousin. What kind of man was Boaz before he married Ruth? He was ruthless. That one, I'm not taking any of these out. That one shouldn't have been in here. Which man of God was the greatest sinner? Moses. He broke all of God's commandments on one occasion. This is because Moses came down the mountain and he smashed the... It's not funny if you have to explain it. It's not funny. Let's see. Does anyone need a boat? I know a guy. Ooh, I am getting out of this. This is apparently what the dark web is. That's all I have for this week. I'll be back next week in a way that's probably better than this, maybe with a guest, maybe not. It's hard to know. We might all be different people by next week. This is the end times. We don't know anything anymore. But in any case, I love you. Thank you for listening to this. Make sure you subscribe and like and share this with people because this is one of the greatest podcasts that anybody has ever made. And also I want to just mention briefly that I know I talk a lot about the University of Utah and how their football program is elite. I just want to come clean here on this blessed occasion. We've been talking a lot about the Bible. I need to get some things off my chest. I understand and I recognize that Brigham Young University is the superior program. And so whatever I say, if we meet in person or if on subsequent episodes, just know that in this moment, I am speaking my truth, which is the truth. And that is my testimony. And I'll close with that. And now we'll call on somebody for a closing prayer. And you can do that on your own. Thank you for listening. Finding Faith and Funny. We'll see you next week.